What's up, guys? So we are going to start with some review of some of the basic forms that we have talked about here in our class so far this year in English. So we'll have some YouTube videos. We're going to review asking and answering questions today, just like we did in the first class. But one thing to remember about YouTube videos, they are a helpful tool to help remind you. You can watch them again and again. But remember that English class is not like math class. You can understand the rules, especially with grammar. You can watch and understand the rules, but that's not enough. English class is like dance class, right? If you can watch dance videos, you can watch and see the steps. You can watch great instructors, lots of instructors on YouTube, or who can teach you those steps. But it's not enough. You're not going to be a good dancer if you are just watching videos about it. You need to practice. So English class is like dance class. So in these videos, you can watch, understand, but take that understanding and practice. So at the end of this video, there will be a practice activity that I want you guys to do if you want to practice these forms. All right, with that said, let's get started asking and answering questions and reviewing be, do, and have. So just like the first day of the year, we're going to start with a little bit of review of what we did on the first day, just asking and answering questions and reviewing be, do, and have, because as you know, those are really important for a lot of things we do later. So remember that what we first did in that first day of class, we practiced asking and answering questions of each other. Questions that were like, are you an English student? Do you watch YouTube videos? Have you taken a class with Mr. Chris? Any of those kind of questions. And when we look here and we see these questions, we can see those three verbs that we always use in English class. So we can answer those. No, I am not a language for careers student. Yes, I do watch YouTube videos. Yes, I have taken a class with Mr. Chris. So when we ask and answer those questions, we're always using those verbs. Be, do, and have. So we're going to go and review those, when we use them, and what we use them for. Okay, so remember that be is for descriptions, when we are describing things that describe who we are talking about. So for the first one, I am very hungry. Very hungry describes me, so I use be. I am very hungry. You are a language for careers student. That describes you, so again, use be. You are a language for careers student. Today is his birthday. His birthday, that describes what today is. That is describing today. So we use is, which is another form of be, right? Now, as you remember, the next one is do for actions. We use do to talk about actions. So taking a look at that first one. Yes, I do watch YouTube videos. Watch is an action, is a thing, is an action that I do, right? So yes, I do watch YouTube videos. We use the do there. We do take online classes. Take is an action. So when you go to class, you are taking a class. So we do take classes online. He does wash his hands every day. Wash, that's an action that hopefully you all do every single day. He does wash his hands every day. So wash, that action. Again, we use does, which is that other z form for do. Then the last one here, the third one, is have, which is for possession, right? And if you guys remember, possession is just a big fancy word that means things that I own, things that belong to me. So let's take a look at some examples of that. I have some cold drinks. I own those cold drinks. Those belong to me, and I'm offering you one. You have a question. So a question, right? It's a thing that belongs to you. It doesn't describe you. Ask a question, that is an action, but a question, right, is a thing. It's a thing. Ask is an action, but a question is a thing. It is a thing that you have. He has a black hat. A black hat, that is a thing that he is wearing on his head, and he has it. It belongs to him. He has a black hat. So, all of these things, some cold drinks, question, a black hat, these are all things that I, you, or he owns. And notice again, when I use he, she, or it, I have that z form. Is, does, has, right? Okay, so remember our example here from class, right? If we take this really simple sentence here, I, a cat. What happens? What do I mean when I use each of these different verbs here? So let's start with the first one. Let's start with be. I, the form for be for I is am. I am a cat. That means a description, right? So a cat describes me. What would that mean? That would mean that I literally am a cat. Meow. Do, right? That would mean a cat is an action. I do a cat. That's weird. We don't want to say that because a cat is not an action. A cat is an animal. It is a thing that should describe or belong to whoever we're talking about. I, a cat, right? I have a cat. That's possession, right? The cat belongs to me, right? If I have a pet, right? I have a cat. That's possession, right? So, be, when I use be, the cat describes me, and I literally am meowing and cough hairballs. We don't want to use do for a cat because that is an action, and a cat is not an action. But when I talk about me having a pet, right, I would say I have a cat. Okay, so now we're using these forms here to ask questions, right? All of these things that we talked about are answers to questions. We call those statements, right? So I am an LCI student, right? That is a statement. That is an answer to a question. You do watch YouTube videos. That is an action, right? That is a statement in answer to a question. He has a cat, right? That is another answer to a question, another statement. So remember how I turn these statements into questions, right? If I want to ask a question about these things, remember that the verb that be, do, and have needs to come in front at the beginning to make it a question. So I want to turn this. I am an LCI student, right? I need to move am to the front just like this. If I'm going to ask you, I would say, are you an LCI student? I could say, am I an LCI student? But that's a little bit of a weird question. I'm asking you. You know that I'm a teacher. You do watch YouTube, right? So now I want to switch. I want to change, make that into a question. Again, I move do in front, and that would be, do you watch YouTube? He has a cat, right? So now I move this to the front. Has he a cat? Now, remember back to the beginning of class. Can I say this? Sure, absolutely. Has he a cat? Sure. It's just a little bit old style. That's what English speakers said a long time ago. You can say it. It's perfectly fine, but you might sound a little old-fashioned. Has he a cat? Right? It's very old style, old-fashioned. So instead, have is an action when you own something, the act of owning something. Instead, we use do you have. So this is the statement form of that. He does have a cat. We switch it up. Does he have a cat? That's the more common one that we use. You can say, has he a cat? But it's a little bit old style. It's a good habit just to think of have as an action when you're asking about possession. Does he have a cat? All right. So, right, when we take those answers to our questions, our statements, he is my teacher. I want to turn that into a question there, right? I move is to the front. You do listen to K-pop. Again, move do to the front, and that is, do you listen to K-pop? Does he have a cat? Again, move does to the front to make it a question. Does he have a cat? Sweet. But Cartoon Me wants to know, how can I ask more interesting questions? Yeah, all of these questions, right? You can just answer yes or no. That's not a very fun conversation. What if you want to ask about more information? You want to know more things, right? Remember how we do that. So remember, we add a question word to a question, just like those ones that we have, to ask for more information. And different question words ask for different kinds of information. So let's take that yes or no question. Do you study? Kind of a boring question, yes or no. But we want to add more information. What question words can we add to find more information from the person that we want to ask more interesting things? If I want to ask about a person, I use who. So who do you study? This would be like you are studying the work of a person, right? Someone could answer like, I study Albert Einstein. Maybe that is a person that they talk about every day in their class. They could say, I study Albert Einstein, right? All right, where is a place, right? Asking for the name of a place. So if I add that there, where do you study? I study at SWU. Could be a possible answer there. For if you want to ask about a specific time, right? A time, you can say when. Add when to a question to ask about a time. When do you study? I study in the morning. Perfectly good answer to that question. How, remember, how is a description. So if I ask, how do you study? I want you to describe the way that you study. So right now, so today, because of the quarantine, you could say, I study in an online class. That is how you study. That is a description of how you study. Why is a reason, right? When you want to know the reason for something, you use why. Why do you study? I study to get a good job, right? That is the reason the person studies, right? It's why you guys are studying, right? A thing or action, right? So if I ask, what do you study? I'm asking the thing that you study, the subject that you study, right? Or the action that you do, right? So I study English, right? You study English in my class and in other classes. Now, if I want to ask about a type of thing, a kind of thing, I can just say what kind of, and then the thing. What kind of music? What kind of movies? What kind of English? What kind of food? If I want to ask about a type of thing. So for here, what kind of English do you study? I study English for daily life. I study English for business. You could talk about a kind of English that you study. But right now, we are studying English for daily life. Right, so we take these questions, right? We ask and answer questions. And I have these questions here and if I want to ask about a person, which one do I add, right? I add who. Who is your teacher? Do you listen to, right? I want to ask about a type of thing. What do I add? I add what kind of music, what kind of people, what kind of music do you listen to? For a cat, right, you can think of many things that you want to ask about. but what right here for a reason. If I want to know a reason, then I can use which question word? I can use why. Why does he have a cat? Right? Okay, so that is the review of be, do, and have, using those to ask and answer questions. But remember, right? English class is like dance class, right? You can watch YouTube videos. These are the steps that but you need and watch the videos about the steps that you need to do to dance, and that can help you learn. But in order to be able to dance, you need to actually go out and dance. You can watch my YouTube videos about grammar, but if you want to be good at grammar, you need to practice. English is not like math class. You've got to practice, practice, practice every single day if you want to learn something. So what I want you to do to practice be, do, and have and questions is just find a friend and write some questions that you want to ask your friend, and ask them about their classes. We are all taking new classes right now, so ask them about their classes. Who is your teacher? Think of some other questions that you can ask them, write those down, and ask them about their classes. Ask them about their hobbies during the quarantine. What do you do when you are at home? We all have to stay at home right now, so ask them about their hobbies to practice these forms here. So remember, do these things and practice, practice, practice if you want to be really good with be, do, have, and asking questions and answering questions. Okay, so that is all for asking and answering questions. I want you guys to remember right now, stay healthy, stay helpful, stay calm during this tough time we have right now. Always wash your hands. Wash your hands. That's how you will stay healthy, and that is how you will stay and help other people to do that as well, right? But it's important to stay calm. If you wash your hands every day, chances are you will stay very healthy. So that's all for today. Until next time, guys, make sure that you practice. Keep tuned for other videos for our class, and remember, just stay happy, stay healthy, stay calm, and practice your English so that we can do well this semester. All right, until next time, I will see ya.